Consistency is a precursor to success.
It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency.
Every day is just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better.
Consistency, because without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish.
So how do we define consistency? Well, here's my definition. Consistency is about taking deliberate action every day towards your goals. It's the practice of reliably performing the tasks that lead to success, regardless of circumstances or emotions, to build skills and achieve results over time. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with essentially unlimited options, whether it comes to dating, your career path, or even hobbies. This is what the entrepreneur Alex Hormozi would describe as uninformed optimism. Everything seems shiny and new and exciting at first, but then what happens is as we start to dive into it and explore it more, we go from uninformed optimism to informed pessimism, because we understand the amount of work and diligence it's going to take to actually become successful at something. And this is where most people stop. This is where most people give up. And this is why consistency is a commodity. So what does consistency look like in real life? Well, let's compare this to dating. In today's dating world, there seems to be unlimited options, or at least the paradox, the illusion of unlimited options, which I've talked about in another video. So what's happening here is as soon as we make a connection and we find someone we like, it seems new and exciting, as all relationships are in the beginning. But as we start to dive into it and we start to learn more about our partners and notice their flaws as they notice ours as well, we start to go from uninformed optimism, everything is fun and exciting, to informed pessimism. Now we understand more about them. Now we understand the amount of effort it's going to take to work on this relationship and build it. And as soon as it starts to become difficult, this is when we jump to the next relationship, because everything seems new and shiny. But everything is going to seem exciting and new and shiny when we're not in it. This is what sets people apart. Those who can consistently show up in their relationships, nurture them, and choose their partner every day, these are the people who are going to end up having successful relationships, because they're not jumping ship every time something gets difficult. They're not starting and stopping and starting and stopping. They're staying consistent with something even when it becomes difficult. So this leads me into my next point, which is how do we stay consistent? What are practical tips that we can use to stay consistent? First is you want to clearly define your goals. 2, we want to establish a routine. 3, aim for progress, not perfection. And then 4, focus on the process, not the outcome. I want to apply these 4 tips to a real world example of me and what I did when I was single to help me land a relationship. So the first thing here is I want to clearly define my goals. And I don't mean clearly define them like I want to end up in a relationship. What I'm saying are the actions that you're going to take. So for example, I said, I'm going to message 3 people per day on Hinge, and I'm going to talk to 2 women per week in person. They could be anyone as long as I'm finding them attractive. I'm trying to specifically put a number to them, and I'm saying these are the actions that I need to take to get the outcome that I want. The second thing here is we want to establish a routine. So what I said here is that every night during dinner for 20 to 30 minutes, I'm already eating, I might as well message people back on these apps. So that's where I would reach out, I would message people, and I would start having conversations and trying to set up dates. And then maybe during the weekends, I might go to the park on Sunday and go for a walk. And this will open up opportunities for me to actually be around other people, around other women, and then I can then take it up on myself to approach them and talk to them and get to know them. 3, I want to aim for progress, not perfection. I'm not looking for the perfect pickup line. I'm not looking for the perfect approach. What I'm trying to do is, am I improving every time? Okay, am I getting more responses on the dating apps? Am I actually setting up dates and I'm not just continuing to text until the conversation fades out? Am I feeling less nervous each time I approach a new woman? Am I keeping the conversation going longer? Is the conversation getting smoother? Are we laughing more? You can use various metrics for this, but it's just, am I improving at least 1 to 2% every time? If so, again, that's progress. We're not looking for perfection, just progress. 4, we want to focus on the process, not the outcome. So I'm not thinking oh my God, I'm not in a relationship yet. I need to get this to a relationship. I'm not even thinking, did I get the date or did I even get the number? I'm just looking at, am I taking the actions necessary to get the outcomes that I know I want? If I continue to put myself out there and approach women that I find attractive, something will eventually happen. If I'm continuing to set up dates and show up for those dates, eventually something will happen. As long as I trust the process, the outcome is going to happen. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get very good at the actions in the process that lead to the outcomes that I want. So I want to transition this into a story about Jerry Seinfeld. And for those of you who don't know, Jerry Seinfeld is a very successful comedian, and he had a show for I don't even know how many seasons. What happened is Jerry Seinfeld had this method called don't break the chain. So his only goal every day was to write one joke. It didn't matter if the joke was horrible or if it was great, he just needed to write one joke. Once he wrote that joke, he would go to his calendar and mark an X. And then what would happen is he would do it the next day and the next day. And then at some point, the only goal is to not break the chain. I'm not married to the outcome of whether or not this is a good joke. Quote unquote, was this a good approach? Was this a good date? I'm married to the action of, am I taking the steps that I know will lead to that? He knew that if he continued to write a joke every day, he would eventually get a handful of really good jokes. It's the same thing in dating. As long as we're continuing to put ourselves out there, as long as we're continuing to set up dates and show up for them, we will find someone that we connect with. But we have to be willing to show up. So if you enjoyed this video, here's some other videos you might like. I talk a lot about dating and fitness, and so if you're interested in any of those areas, click on one of these.